Time check, approximately 12 minutes past 1 here on Joy 99.7 FM. Welcome to the Joy Sports Truck. My name is Hans Mensando, sitting in for your regular host Gary Al Smith. And it's been an action-packed weekend. Ghana has been in battle on several fronts, in football and in boxing. A victory for Ghana's reps in the Africa Interclub competitions. In the CAF Champions League, Asante Kotoko beating the Tour du Sahel by 2-0. That was yesterday, but before then on Saturday, Ashanti Gold, they were in action, took a 2-goal lead but surrendered it and eventually won 3-2 against RS Berkane. We'll be assessing the chances of the two teams as they prepare for the return encounter in Morocco and Tunisia respectively. In boxing, not good news for Ghana. Patrick Alote's hunt for that world title ending in defeat and disappointment. The Ghanaian boxer losing to Jaime Munguia of Mexico by 4th round knockout. I'll be situating that defeat. We need a context of Ghana boxing. The news that has been coming in the last few months hasn't been too pleasant. Remember that Ghana has only one world title, the IBF lightweight title, held by Richard Oblitekome. We'll be taking a look at the quality of boxers that we've been sending out for world title fights. Are they up to the task? Are we churning out world-class boxers like we were doing in yesteryears? I'll be joined by Joy Sports editor Nathaniel Lato to get through that conversation here on the Joy Sports Truck. Thank you very much one more time for joining me. My name is Hans Mensand. Of course, you can join the conversation 0244340437 on WhatsApp. That's 0244340437. We'll begin from the Asante Kotoko conversation, and my colleague Benedict Osudankwa joins me on the telephone line. And hello, Benedict.
Hi, Hans.
Yes, thank you very much for joining me. Are you in Accra yet?
Yeah, I just go to Accra.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, let's go back to yesterday's game, and there's a sense among some pundits and fans of Kumasi Asante Kotoko that the return encounter may have been a lot more easier had they gotten more goals. But what is the sense among the playing body and the technical team of Kotoko? Do they see this game as becoming more difficult because of the opportunities they wasted, or they think that 2-0 is good enough and they find themselves in a comfortable lead?
Well, Hans, it's always difficult going away to play against the North Africans in this competition. And the pedigree of Tour du Sahel when it comes to the CAF Interclub competitions, be it the Confederations Cup or the CAF Champions. And for me, I thought that Asante Kotoko yesterday at the Baba Stadium should have scored more. They played very well. For the very first time in about how many years I saw a very combative, a very strong, purposeful Asante Kotoko team. Yes, last season in the Confederation Cup they did well, but watching them yesterday at the Baba Stadium was something different. You could talk of from defense. Yesterday, Felix Alan virtually was on holiday, so I don't want to talk about him. But if you talk about the back four of Kumasi Asante Kotoko, Habib Mohamed, Ajiman Bidu, as well as Mpim Da Costa, and great display from those guys. You come to midfield, Jordan Opoku, Augustin Okra, who got the opportunity to play in this game after missing the first game because they had not been cleared by CAF. Abege, of course, people had issues with him, but his contribution in a game, aside not scoring a goal, was felt, and I thought that was very good. You look at someone like Kelvin Ando, who came on later in the game, one great chap. I don't have to talk about someone like Emmanuel Jemfi, because you all know what Emmanuel Jemfi is capable of doing and what he can do on any day. So yesterday I saw a very good Asante Kotoko team. The only thing that was missing, that the number of goals that they should have scored. I thought that yes, 2-0 was good. It was a win. But with everything in terms of how energetic and the electrifying the atmosphere was, which really intimidated the Tour du Sahel fans, I thought that the players should have taken advantage of that and scored more goals. But on the whole, it was a good performance from the team. The only worry is that some of the fans that I spoke to after the game expressed why that these are. We know these guys, you know how they are. when you go to their home, ground, they always will try and intimidate you and do all sort of things, to get you back so they can score more. And not, forgetting this team went away, lost 2-1 to Hafia, and then went there and defeated Hafia by 7-1. Their manager, Bezati, yesterday mentioned that Hafia is not Asante Kotoko. Asante Kotoko is bigger, better than Hafia in his opinion, but they can still go out there and do something. So most of the fans that I spoke to made reference to what happened in their first game with Hafia, which they went away there and overturned that deficit and won emphatically. So they wanted their team as Asante Kotoko to score more goals, at least not less than 4 goals. For them would have put the tie to rest. You go there, you try not to concede a goal in the first 5 minutes. You come back in the second half. Even if you concede a goal and you try and you get a draw, bingo, you qualify to the next stage of the competition. So some are worried though, but CEO of the club, George Amakun, believes that they can go out there and get a good result. The coach as well also believes they can go out there and get a good result. Some of the players that I spoke to share the same sentiment. They think that yesterday's game is behind them. They won all right. The atmosphere was fantastic. Everything that they did worked to perfection. They would have to go into their training and work harder going into that second leg in 2 weeks' time.
And let's quickly talk about the second leg and Asante Kotoko's chances of getting the results that puts them through to the next stage of the competition. What would do the trick for them? Is it avoiding, a goal at home? Is it the quality of the players? And how much will depend on Coach Hieto Zachariasen?
Well, Zachariasen, since he came, has changed something about this team, how they play. Is that this is a new team, unlike what TK used in a Confederation Cup, as many as 14 new players. And anytime, yesterday when Sonny Yakuba came on, you could see the disconnection between himself and the players, because Sonny Yakuba was playing his very first competitive game since coming back to the team. He's not used to the setup, he's not used to the players. Someone like Jamesy, because he's been around and been training and been playing games with them, he's very much okay. So I think that what Zachariasen must do is to step up what they did at the Baba Stadium. Go out there, don't go and defend, try and get a goal. If they're able to get a goal out there, I'm very certain that Asante Kotoko will make the next stage of the competition. The football that they played at the Baba Stadium yesterday, if Kotoko should go and replicate same or even better it, there is no way at all the Sahel can beat Kotoko. The number of goals they need to score to eliminate them. So I am very hopeful. It's just that they need to work a lot more, and Zachariasen should also get his tactics right going out there. Yesterday, Jordan Opoku for me was the man of the match. Played very, very well, as well as Jima. He was also fantastic in yesterday's game. So they have the quality. I mean, what worked for Asante Kotoko this time is that they have players that have played in this competition before. Augustine Okra, we all know what he went out there to do. Now he's back with the club. We all know Jordan Opoku's experience. These are Felix Annan, having played in the competition for some time. These are players that can motivate the younger ones that are around. Sonny Yakuba is their big played in a Confederation Cup last season. That's why Asante Kotoko brought him. So they feel that these guys around can help. They've lived it. They've gone through it. So going out there against Tunisia, against a club in Tunisia, is nothing to them. Yes, they will definitely come out them with their antics and everything, but they believe that skills will get a good result. All
right then, Benedict Osudanko, I'm grateful that you joined me. Benedict, of course, my colleague here at Joy Sports, monitored the game in Kumasi for us. Asante Kotoko beating Etoile du Sahel by 2-0. Let's take a listen to Kotoko CEO George Amoako after yesterday's game.
It was a very difficult game. The Tunisians came with a strategy to frustrate our game, and I think they succeeded in doing that. If they had opened up to play football against us, it would have been a different thing. But it's a two-legged affair. This is the first leg, we got 2 goals. Let's see what will happen in Tunisia.
So what do you think we must move going to Tunisia?
In Tunisia, they'll come out blazing for the goals. And we'll see what happens. We'll see what will happen.
Asante Kotoko CEO George Amoako in a conversation with my colleague Benedict Osudanko. Now, Benedict also interacted with a section of the Asante Kotoko fans after yesterday's game.
A very fantastic game, except for a bit of lapses up front, Abege and his moves. We need to work on that. But I think the boys did very well. some are saying that the Tunis probably would want to play like that and shock us there. But we believe we are going to hold them there for the first 20 minutes, and after that, it's a draw game.
So you think that could have gone?
We are qualifying. We are qualifying. We are hungry for the cup, and we are bringing it back.
Right, so what do you also have to say about the game?
For me, I'm impressive. They've impressed me with their play. Owing to the fact that this is a young team, in the sense that this type of players have been put together in just about 2 months, and for them to demonstrate this high level of performance, for me, I'm okay. I'm only hoping that we go to a tour and cause an upset. Definitely, Kotoko is going to score there. So for me, we will sail through.
So that was a section of the Asante Kotoko fans. Speaking to my colleague Benedict Ozudankwo after yesterday's 2-0 victory against Etoile du Sahel. Now, I mentioned that on Saturday, Ashanti Gold were in action against RS Berkane of Morocco in the CAF Confederations Cup. They took a 2-goal lead, surrendered it, but eventually won 3-2. And I've got the CEO of the side, Fred Achi, on the line. Frederick Achiampon. We used to call him Fred Achi. And so, hello, Fred.
Hello, sir.
Yes, Hans here. Thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Right, so 3-2 it ended. For a lot of people, the return and counter places Ash Gold in a 60-40 situation. Is that how you see it?
60 in favor of who?
60 in favor of your opponent.
Oh, why? Because as I speak to you now, we have the advantage because we won. Some played,
but they have 2 away goals, which is gold in these competitions, you know.
No, it doesn't matter. The fact remains that Ashanti Gold won, and we have the advantage now. What if you go there and the game ends in a draw? What if you go there and we beat them? What if you go there and we also score? The fact of the matter is that we didn't lose and we didn't draw. Some drew at home, some lost at home. We won, and we must be proud of that. So I want to take this opportunity to congratulate my players for what they did. I think that in terms of the status of the 2 clubs, in terms of finance, in terms of resources and other stuff, probably once it is to take to the field with RS Berkane, you should expect to lose like maybe 5-0 or 6-0. But our field of play was 11 against 11, and we played better than they did, and we won the day. So to me, we have the advantage. You understand? The same thing happened when the majors played 1-1 with Algeria. Everybody thought that was it because we are traveling to North Africa and then we're going to lose. But they went and won there, and it's possible that we will go and win.
So what is the plan? You mentioned also that you could go there and get a draw and qualify. What is the plan? To go there and win, or to go there and get a draw and qualify? What really is the focus?
As it stands now, RS Berkane must score to progress. You understand? They must score before they can progress. It means they're going to play open game. And as we saw them here, we can beat them. We can score against them in Morocco. So if they open up in a bit to chase goal, we would also take advantage of the same situation they took advantage of in Ghana. So we are not out. In fact, if you want to rate it 60-40, then it should be 60 in favor of Ashanti Gold and 14 in favor of RS Berkane. Because as it stands now, we won and we have the advantage. We beat them 3-2. If the game ends in a draw, we qualify. If something happens, the game doesn't come on, we qualify.
Okay. Now, I mean, again, do you feel that you've made an already difficult game even more difficult by conceding those 2 goals?
Not at all. I'll disagree on this one. I rather want to say that because before this game, the connoisseurs of the game, the analysts, everybody ruled out the Ghanaian class, both Ashanti Gold and Kotoko. They thought that class from North Africa, they are well resourced, they can buy all the players. Like I said, at least I know about 3 players within RS Berkane whose annual salary is $500,000 each. If I get $500,000, it should be enough to run Ashanti Gold for the whole year. You understand?
Yeah.
So in those things, we are not comparable. You cannot compare ourselves to them. So people ruled us out. People thought that the way we come to beat us here in Ghana. But it didn't happen. You all saw what we did and what Ashanti Kotoko did. It means that these countries, these clubs, they are beatable, and that we can go there and draw, we can go there and beat them. So for me, I think that we should rather be congratulating Ashanti Gold for winning the game against RS Berkane, and that based on the results we achieved here. Do not forget that as we started this competition, we played 3 matches. We had to lose. Our worst is draw. But RS Berkane have lost.
We've doubled in what could happen in the second leg. I mean, you could go there and get a draw, you could go there and win and qualify. You've mentioned all of that. But realistically, yes, how do you rate your chances of qualification?
Well, 60-40, like you said. I rate that we have 60% chance of qualifying. There are 3 results in football game. And after the 3 results, 2 of those results favors Ashanti Gold as we speak now. It's the only one that favors RS Berkane. So if on the basis of probability, if you want to do proper mathematics, the advantage is Ashanti Gold. 3 results in a football game, either win, draw, or lose. If you lose, we may go out, even depending on which kind of loss it might be. You understand? What if we go there and we will score like 3 away goals? It means that advantage will be with us. If you draw, we qualify. If you win, we qualify. So 2 out of the possible 3 results favors Ashanti Gold as I speak to you now. So we have the advantage.
And you are sure to what degree that you go there and qualify?
Yes, because we saw the team, we have assessed the team, and then we know our strength. Or rather, we want to, like I said, and say well done to our boys for matching up to them, for the commitment they've shown to the club. Because we want, like I said, if you want to compare other stuff, then probably they should be beating us. You understand? So to me, I think that our players did very, very well, and I expect them to do well. The last time we traveled away, we drew. If it is anything to go, but last time we traveled away in the African competition, we drew. And so, if you want to work on that base, it means that we can draw in Morocco. And if you draw, we qualify. And to me, I see our chances as very, very high.
You've got a couple of weeks to prepare. Between now and the return leg, what would you be doing to ensure that you get the right results to get you through to the next stage?
We want to look out for the right teams to engage in friendly games. Teams who believe that they can give us the push. Teams who believe that they can get us to that competitive edge to be able to be well prepared for that game, because now we've assessed them and we know their strength. And so we're going to line up friendly games. We're going to, our strategy and plans and everything is going to be geared towards that game. And trust us that we'll go there and do well. We'll go there and qualify.
Thank you very much. Frederick Acheampong is the CEO of Ashanti Gold speaking to us here on Sports Track. He thinks that Ash Gold can go there and get the result. He thinks it's 60-40 for the return encounter advantage Ashanti Gold. But what do you think? Let's get your thoughts on Kumasi Asante Kotoko and Ash Gold's chances of progressing in the CAF Champions League and the CAF Confederations Cup respectively on WhatsApp 0244340437 0244340437. Let's get your thoughts on the chances of Kumasi Asante Kotoko and Ashanti Gold. We've done 30 minutes past 1 here on Joy 99.7 FM. Still listening to the Joy Sports Track. My name is Hans Mensand. We've spoken to Frederick Acheampong, who, like you heard, thinks that Ash Gold have a very, very good chance of progressing to the next stage of the competition. Also, Asante Kotoko, Benedict thinks that they can go there and get a right result from what he saw of the tour this year. Now, one man who has immense experience of playing in the North African leagues as former Ghana international Felix Abuaji joins me on the line. Hello, Felix. Thank you very much for joining me.
Yeah, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Now, I mean, you've got the experience of playing in North Africa. You saw how Ashanti Gold and Kotoko performed in the home games. What should they do between now and the next couple of weeks when the game come around?
Yeah, thank you very much. And to be frank with you, I watched Ashanti Gold match and I was really, really sad about the game. I was not happy about how Ashanti Gold leading 2-0 and who wants to make a headway in the CAF Champions League gives 2 goals away and have to call back and come and win the game 3-2, which I think playing against such a North African side is very, very trickish. And when you are playing at home, you have to keep it clean sheet. So giving it 2 goals away make it the second leg very, very difficult for them. A clear attacks that they have to overcome, which I think make it very, very difficult for them on the second leg. Coming to Kumasi Asante Kotoko, I think I was very, very pleased with them because if you want to make a headway, you don't have to concede at home. If you don't concede at home, it makes your work very, very easier for you when you go to the second leg, which I think Asante Kotoko is on a good radar to qualify for the next stage of the competition.
So you think that for Ash Gold, they made an already difficult game even more difficult by conceding those 2 goals, correct?
Yeah, of course. If you want to make an headway in a CAF Champions League like such a big game, You don't have to give 2 goals away. If you want to keep it clean sheet, I think you have the good chance of going through the next stage of the competition. But giving 2 goals away, make it clear tax for them, which I think on the day playing at home, the players were not tactically disciplined at all. They let in 2 goals, which I think is not good news for them. I think when they go away, they have to be tactically disciplined. All the players have to be on alert because at the North African side, they are very, very trickish while they are playing at home. On the counter-attack, they are very, very good. On the wing play, they are very, very excellent. So it is very, very difficult for Ashanti Gold.
Now, I just spoke to Asgo CEO Frederick Achampon, and I said that I see the game to be a 60-40 situation against Ashanti Gold in the return leg. How do you see it in terms of percentages?
Yeah, you see, as the CEO of a club, you have to be more cautious and more confidence for your players to know that the tie is not yet over. But on paper, we know that playing against a North African side away is very, very trickish and very, very clear attacks that our players have to overcome. You know, going to play there, I think I will give Ashanti Gold 40% because though they are in the tie leading 3-2, they can go and defend well and make sure that at least they can also get an away goal and they can also go through.
Now, what should both Asgold and Kotoko do to be able to get the right results in terms of preparation and during the game itself to put them in good stead to qualify?
Yeah, tactically, both teams have to be disciplined. Tactically, they have to be disciplined. Defense-wise, they have to be compact because if you are not compact, the North African sides, they attack from the wings. They like playing wing play and make sure that they break you from the wings and they attack you and from the middle they try to score. You know, every home game that they play, they score 2 or 3 goals. It makes you the team coming very, very difficult to operate. So tactically, both players, Ashanti Gold and Asgo players, must be disciplined and make sure that at least they don't allow in a go the first 15 and 20 minutes. They also have to frustrate them because if you don't frustrate them, they are going to win the game by 25 minutes. They are going to win the tie and they are going to defend from there on.
All right, and thank you very much. Felix Sabuaje is a former Ghana international, of course, played in the North African leagues. Very, very experienced as far as the North African leagues are concerned, speaking to us on the chances of Ashanti Gold and Kumasi Asante Kotoko. We've done 35 minutes past 1 here on the Joy Sports Truck. My name is Hans Mensah. I'll be moving into the UEFA Champions League, but not until we've talked about boxing. Let's get into the boxing bit. And over the weekend, of course, Ghana was in the hunt for another world title. The WBO super welterweight title held by Mexican Jaime Munguia, and Patrick Alute was the man flying the flag for Ghana. It ended in defeat, a woeful performance, I must add, by the Ghanaian boxer, losing via a 4th round knockout. He actually took a knee, and his corner had to throw in the towel, insisting that they were not willing to continue with the fight. It follows a number of Ghanaian boxers who had failed in similar title bids, and most of them got a fight because they were picked for voluntary title defenses. Now there are two kinds of title defense. They are the mandatories and the voluntaries. Now for the voluntary, the one holding the title can pick anybody within the top 13 or so, and of course Habib Ahmed went there. He lost. Michael Auku lost to Miguel Bechelt. Rafael Mensah lost in a very, very one-sided fight. Did a full 12 rounds, but it was very, very one-sided. And Richard Harrison also recently losing against Daniel Dubois in the UK. We'll sit with a discussion within the context of the quality of boxers we are sending out there to challenge for world titles. Are we churning out world-class boxers? Are we churning out the right boxers to challenge for these titles? Or are we simply having a situation where promoters are simply throwing these fighters in there just for the money? And that is what we'll be trying to explore. But let's take a listen to Coach Ofori Asare on why Alute lost that fight.
He has no spirit. We should fight now. There are two things that we use to fight. When you train the boxer physically, you prepare him, and you see that he's ready for the fight. But there's something that is different, and I can say there is a connection, the spirit for him to fight, something to push him to show that he needs this title, and at all costs he must do or put up his best. Those kind of things, it is not only training; it's that things are there. And when those things are there, it takes some power away from you. When it happens here, you don't get those connections. There are some psychological aspect. Even bringing that person at the corner, just like that, for the boxer to know that he's there. His attitude and everything will change. That aspect of I'll take this boxer, I'll give him a better coach, I'll do this, all those kind of things. You need to be very careful, because when we say the kind of punches are, the ball no cry, give up. It's not any punch here, but he is not there. The spirit is not there. So it's like he's just fighting, but he's not of himself.
And that was Coach Ofori Asare there speaking on why he thinks that Patrick Alute lost. Joining me in the studio, Joy Sports editor Nathaniel Lato, to get through this particular conversation. Now, we can't make any excuses at all for Patrick Alute, can we? He simply lost.
No, we can't make any excuses. You've put it very aptly. But I think we need to listen very carefully to Coach Ofori Asare. This is a man with decades of experience at his fingertips. And immediately as I listened to him, I was drawn back to decades ago when Sugar Ray Leonard had to fight his second bout against Roberto Duran Samaniego. For me, that trilogy of events in boxing is one of the biggest and greatest in terms of skill, excitement, and pure boxing skill. That second fight, in which Sugar Ray Leonard recorded his first win against Roberto Duran Samaniego, had something very significant that we all need to learn in boxing and in preparation in preparations for bouts. During the pre-fight formalities, the legendary Ray Charles, after whom Sugar Ray Leonard had been named, came into the ring and sang the song God Bless America. Immediately you could tell from the body language of Sugar Ray Leonard that he had had an extra spark which 3 million years of training in the gym could not give him.
Okay.
He had had an extra spark with which the best of vitamins could not give him. He had had an extra spark which 3 million fans with t-shirts with Sugar Ray written on them couldn't have given him.
Okay.
It was that extra spark, and it is that extra spark that Coach Ofori Asare is talking about.
Let
me also refer you. Hold on. Let me refer you.
What would it have been?
Let me refer you as well to a recent example in Joshua Clottey fighting against Manny Pacquiao.
Right.
when you go back to that bout and watch it very carefully, you'd realize that anytime Joshua landed a legitimate punch on Pacquiao's face,
it did damage.
It took him a while to recover.
Okay.
It took him a minimum of 5 seconds or 7 seconds to recover. And that is a significant statistic. But what? Joshua's spirit was gone. Joshua's confidence was gone.
Why?
In the same way, you see.
Why?
Because in the lead up to the fight, one person whom Joshua has a very big connection with, not necessarily a boxing connection, but a very good relationship with, who represents a tower of inspiration in the late Coach Alloway, was denied a visa. And you can imagine how much stress that could give. Look, let me refer to the unfortunate incidents of this morning. Look at what is happening to several parents at the Independence Square, just because their children are unable to go into school. In the same way, when you are about to take a major venture such as this, and that amount of inspiration is taken away from you, it takes something away from,
It comes back to the question I'm asking. In Patrick Alote's case, what was missing?
What was missing was he did not have a corner like his opponent. His main trainer was not there, and it makes a huge load of difference. Because you see...
And you're saying that would have made a difference against Jaime Munguia?
Listen.
Would it? Really?
Are you... Listen, you've seen boxers fight. I'm not going to take anything away from Jaime Munguia. However, you saw the fight and you saw the kinds of punches that took Alote down. Would you have expected, from the little, and I say little in quotes, from the little we've seen Alote do on this local scene here, these are not the punches that should take him down. He lacked a certain level of confidence, basic confidence, and that is where the problem is. Listen, I have said it on this platform and in our meetings and in our public, in our personal conversations, I've told you that, look, I do not see this happening. And I do not see this happening means I do not see Alote going to win against Munguia. And I said it right here in our previews that if Alote ever won, he would qualify for the upset of the year. He would qualify for the upset of the year by the Ring magazine.
That is to say that he was going into this fight as a huge underdog.
Definitely, he was the underdog. Let's not even miss the word. Alote was the underdog.
Okay, let me take you back to similar happenings in the last 2 or 3 years. We saw Habib Ahmed picked for, a voluntary title defense. He went in there, he lost. We saw Michael Ewoku, a voluntary title defense, goes there, he loses. Rafael Mensah, similarly. Our Ghanaian boxers,
and of course we also saw Latte Harrison.
Richard Latte Harrison.
Yes.
The point I'm making is this: for voluntary title defenses, the title holder has the luxury of picking between, the
2 and 15.
One, exactly.
Number 2 and number 15. Yes.
Consistently, we are getting Ghanaian boxers being picked. Is it because these title holders know that they lack the quality to trouble them?
Okay,
especially since they've all fell short in their bid for the
let's give the benefit of the doubt here. Okay, now you have said it yourself in your introduction that you need to fight in your voluntary defense. You can have the luxury of picking between number 2 and number 15.
Yeah.
This is the same circumstance that got Joseph Agbeko to fight against the then champion, the IBF bantamweight champion, Luis Alberto Perez, in the year 2007, on the same ground in California. Okay, and this is a ground which obviously is not, a smooth haven for a Ghanaian boxer. This is definitely a ground which will favor on a night in any arena, and a ground which will favor a boxer who comes from that side of America, Southern America. And Agbeko went in there and he shocked everyone.
Right.
So what I'm saying is that for some of the boxers you've mentioned, they've had good preparation. They've had a good background. Look at Habib Ahmed, for instance. What else does a boxer need? However, and I'm saying what else does a boxer need because he's had a good lead up to becoming a professional boxer. He's fought on the African circuit, he's fought at the Olympics, and he's had good enough preparation. However, the bone of contention here is that space between fight number 1 and the eventual world title.
Right.
And that is where the problem lies. Sometimes our managers, our trainers, and even the people who are supporting us follow us to go and take part in bouts that are held in gyms. And my people there call it RFA record.
Okay.
RFA record means we are making a record.
So they are padding the record to make the boxers look good.
This is a practice. It's not necessarily padding the record. The fight happens, but the question you ask yourself is...
They are not credible fights. Let's put it bluntly.
Yes. How did these fights happen? What kinds of opponents are we looking at?
Exactly.
And of course, let's not also, like I said, we need to give our boxers some credit as well, because if you look at the records of some of the boxers and some of the world champions, you realize that fight number 1 to fight number 10 has some opponents who may not necessarily be crack. Let's get it right here. Look at some of the most credible champions that have fought, from Manny Pacquiao to all of them. Manny Pacquiao has fought journeymen before.
I won't argue this. So you know why I won't argue this? Even Charles Martin has held a world title at heavyweight, and I've always been mentioning it.
Thank you very much.
But fundamentally, fundamentally not. All these boxers I'm talking about, you see, it's not about the fact that they lost. It's about how they lost. Habib Ahmed lost by an 8th-round knockout. You had Michael Awuku go in there within the first round. He was done. Maxwell Awuku, I beg your pardon. Richard Harrison, 4th round. And then we have, Patrick Alote also losing the 4th. There are several other boxers that I'm struggling to recollect. But it's been consistent that when Ghanaian boxers are chosen for mandatory, very often, they don't even last the full distance of the fight. They hardly put up a fight. And that, for me, is the real problem for me.
So away from these other out of the ring factors, there are other things and other factors that the people and the practitioners are not looking at.
Which are what?
We talk, for instance, about psyching up of a boxer. Sometimes it sounds like English, and sometimes it sounds like an overkill in making the investment in the boxer. But you see, these things are very, very important.
Psyching up the boxer.
Yes, it is very important. Why is it, for crying out loud, why is it that the Black Stars in recent times always have a team psychologist? It is not. It is scientific. The sport that we're playing internationally is a scientific sport, and therefore every possible investment must be made to ensure. Listen,
but that's why I disagree, Nat. I disagree because, you see, if you look at it on the base of performance alone, the golfing class between these Ghanaian boxers I've mentioned and the opponent, they've been evident in those fights.
Hans, that's another doubt.
I really don't think that the psychologist would have made a difference. I really don't think that the presence of a boxer's coach would have made a difference.
Hans,
even in the case of Patrick Alote, the golfing class between Alote and Jaime Munguia was that huge.
Hans, in the second round, Alote did a 3-punch combination. He did a left hook.
Yeah.
He did a right. And then he did another swift right to the face of Munguia. At that time, Munguia had dropped his guard.
Okay.
And all the fans went, "Oh." Okay. Let's just turn the situation around a little bit and just draw that hypothetical picture of Ofori Asare being in the corner and saying, "Listen, follow up. You think that is not going to make a difference? Let me tell you about another story of a trainer who has made the difference in a corner. You see, sometimes the best boxers do not necessarily win world titles.
Absolutely.
Yes,
I agree.
We have Azuma Nelson has fought against opponents, and you see this fight and you say, look, this is not Azuma Nelson. I mean, I am one of the people who believe very strongly that one of the most unnecessary losses that the legendary Azuma Nelson has suffered in his career is that against Pernell Whitaker. Hold on. So you look at someone like Teddy Atlas. Teddy Atlas was in Michael Moore's corner when he fought Evander Holyfield. Okay? Now, when the fight started, back and forth, and of course, in terms of being the favorite, definitely, Evander Holyfield was the man of the moment. Right. Michael Moorer was a young man. He was now coming onto the scene, and of course, nobody gave him a dog's chance. However, it took the golden voice, the strong voice of Teddy Atlas, saying some words to him during one of the breaks. He said, "Look, this is the moment. You have to wake up. Let's get this done." And he went into the ring and recorded that famous knockdown of, Let me wrap up with the last one, the last example. Real quick. Ike Bazooka Kwate, during his comeback, after 2005, staged a fight, was involved in a fight in Memphis, Tennessee against Verno Phillips.
Okay.
He went into this fight, got knocked down in round number 8. He stood and was able to survive the round. When he got to the corner, the coach did the necessary, put some water on his face and said, Ike, oh Namiyabiye, come on, wake up. Blah, blah, blah. Ike got up, went into round 9, and guess what? He won that bout. So let's not downplay the importance of the various blocks that make. Hold on,
I got it.
Of the various blocks that make
in the case of Ike and Vince, if you look at on the base of shareability between the two boxers, there was nothing to pick. If anything at all, Ike was a better boxer. But I mean, I get the point you are making. It's important that coaches are in the corners of their fighters when they are fighting. Finally, there's a school of thought that promoters currently are throwing Ghanaian boxers into world title fights, knowing very well that they are simply not capable of winning those fights, but you're throwing them there nonetheless just because of the money. What will be your response to that?
Well, there are arguments for and against that. Which contender, which contender in any division, unless the person has been a former world champion, can boast of having more money than the champion? Hans, tell me. In the history of boxing, from the 19th century till now, tell me which contender who's yet to win a world title,
and has more money than the champion.
Tell me. So the thing is, the belt is the attraction. Having the title is what brings you the money. Having the title is what brings you the attention. So who on earth in his right frame of mind would want to go into a fight and say, okay, we're throwing you in there? Look, this is not to say that there's no mischief in boxing. Yes, there are managers and there are promoters not only in Ghana but also in the United States of America. In fact, there are promoters who are big name and are legendary, and they throw boxers into fights so they could go and lose against another opponent, so they could do business with the other opponent.
You mentioned Donkey.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So I'm telling you that everybody's target is to win the title, because when you win the title, you get bigger exposure, you get the bigger bargaining power. Hello, good afternoon, Andy Ruiz Jr.
And he won the title, Andy Ruiz Jr. There's a rematch coming up on December 7th against Anthony Joshua. We'll see how that one will go. But we'll continue the conversation on Ghanaian boxing. The latest setback is Patrick Kalote. And of course, we've got Richard Oblitekome, who will be defending his IBF lightweight title. Hopefully, he retains that title because it is the only one that Ghana holds currently. And the familiar tune of the UEFA Champions League. Excitement returns, and excitement will be here on Joy 99.7 FM, because George Adu Jr. and Gary Al Smith will be on for live commentary on Champions League night. The featured game for tomorrow has Napoli up against Liverpool in Naples. What a game it promises to be. Joining me, Bill and Oreku Nyamiche Ampofa. I'm the only person who mentions Nyamiche here at Joy Sports. Welcome, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, and I can already feel the excitement in the voice of Oreku. What are we to expect this season? Not just for this game, this season.
I think if you've been listening to us for the past year or so, you know that the Champions League has been our bread and butter. And every midweek and bi-weekly, we serve you with the best commentary. You know, what usually happens is that a lot of people are stuck in traffic during the Champions League games, which can be unfortunate. But I think that with the commentary that we do produce, we've been able to curb that issue. This year, we've realized that there's a open space to be able to connect with our listeners. People sometimes wonder what goes behind the commentary and all that. So including the commentary, we're also going to give some insights as to what happens before the commentary, what happens during the commentary, what happens after. So there'll be some little behind the scenes that you could follow on our social media as well. And the other advantage that we do have is that you wouldn't just get commentary on the live game. Remember that when Real Madrid are playing PSG, there's Atletico Madrid and Juventus and Chelsea will be involved.
There are a lot of games that will be going on. Let me quickly run by listeners, the fixtures for tomorrow. Inter Milan are playing against Slavia Prague. Lyon versus Zenit St. Petersburg. Salzburg will play Genk. Napoli, Liverpool will be the featured game. Dortmund versus Barcelona. Cracker, that one. Benfica up against Leipzig. Ajax will play Lille. Chelsea versus Valencia, and of course Bill will be the man for the online martyrs. Will be very heavy on Twitter and of course our other social media platforms. Bill, what are we to expect?
Yeah, I expect a very, very exciting match, especially Napoli versus Liverpool. Last season Napoli really did well to hold Liverpool's attack. They made sure that they didn't get any shot on target during the game. So it's going to be very, very tough for Klopp to try and find a way to beat that Napoli defense that stopped him, that brought him to a halt last season. So I expect a lot.
Real quick, what time does our coverage start?
I think we start 6:30.
6:45?
6:45.
Okay,
6:30. Yeah, 6:30, 6:35. Yeah.
Okay, so there you have it. Live commentary on Joy 99.7 FM. And I'm thanks to Reku and Bill. George Adu Jr. and Gary Al Smith will be on for UEFA Champions League night. And when the games are done, join me on the Joy News channel, Multi TV, and also on DSTV channel 421 on Fun Zone as we take a look back on what promises to be a brilliant night of UEFA Champions League action. My name is Hans Mensando, sat in for your regular host, Gary Al Smith. Thank you very much for listening. The news is up next with Komla Adom.